Hare Krishna, dear devotees, please accept our humble obeisances. All glories to Jagat Krishna Prabhupada. All glories to our beloved speaker for today, His Grace SARVATMA Prabhu, who needs no introduction. And all glories to the assembled Vaishnava today. Devotees, today is Friday. It's a very beautiful day because it's the 12th day of the 12th month. And it's the last day of the busy week. Sri SARVATMA Prabhu, we thank you so much, as always, for being here. Without further ado, we may put the verse on the screen and you may start speaking. Hare Krishna. Prabhu. Thank you so much. Hare Krishna.
Mm-hmm. So should I wait for the verse to show up? There it is. Okay. So we are reading from the Srimad Bhagavatam, the third canto, 14th chapter, verse number 48. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayam Udirayet Nasta Prayesha Vadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Tamash Loke Bhakti Bhavati Naistiki Davai Maha Bhagavatu Mahatma Manu Mahanubabo Mahatam Mahishta Pravrida Bhaktya Hi Anubhavita Saye Niveshya Vaikuntham Imam Vihasyati. We'll go straight to the verse, translation and purport by His Divine Grace Srila Prabhupada. That topmost devotee of the Lord will have expanded intelligence and expanded influence and will be the greatest of the great souls. Due to mature devotional service, he will certainly be situated in transcendental ecstasy and will enter the spiritual sky after quitting this material world. There are three stages of transcendental development in devotional service, which are technically called Sthai Bhava, Anubhava, and Mahabhava. Continual perfect love of Godhead is called Sthai Bhava, and when it is performed in a particular type of transcendental relationship, it is called Anubhava. But the stage of Mahabhava is visible amongst the personal pleasure potencies of the Lord. It is understood that the grandson of Didi, namely Prahlad Maharaj, will constantly meditate on the Lord and reiterate his activities. Because he would constantly remain in meditation, he would easily transfer himself to the spiritual world after quitting his material body. Such meditation is still more conveniently performed by chanting and hearing the holy name of the Lord. This is especially recommended in this age of Kali. Om Jnana Timirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshura Militam Jena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Kam Karoti Vachalam Pangum Langati Girim Yat Kripatamaham Vande Shri Gurun Dinataranam Paramananda Madhavam Shri Chaitanyam Ishvaram Panchakalpatarvyascha Kripa Sindhuvyavacha Patitanam Pavanevyo Vaishnavivyo Namo Namaha. So here is still Maitreya Muni talking with Vidura. And first they started explaining in this chapter the impudence of Diti. Diti got bewildered by lust and she wanted to have intercourse, have some children with Kashyapa Muni. Kashyapa Muni told her this is a very inauspicious time when Lord Shiva is showing up with all the ghouls and ghosts and hobgoblins and all those associates of his. He's very merciful. He takes care of the most fallen, people who commit suicide, those who are almost irredeemable. He's like the running this crazy place, insane um, crew that he has. And that's a very bad time to have children because it's in defiance of Lord Shiva. That's the time that he goes by. It's like someone going on a military parade, showing all the march and well choreographed stuff, and some crazy circus band shows up and tries to interrupt and do it at the same time. It's um, not very proper. So, and Kashyapa told her, just wait a few seconds. He didn't say, let's wait for a half an hour. He said, wait for a few seconds until this time is over. And she couldn't help herself, just nagged him. So they had intercourse. And of course, that was the plan of the Lord to bring his two gatekeepers, Jaya and Vijay, now in the form of Hiranyaksha and Hiranyakashipu. And Kashyapa told her, these kids that you so ardently wanted are going to disturb the entire universe, and it is your fault. That's a load. That's a guilt trip if you ever heard one. And Aditi was repentant and very sorry, but when she heard that the personality of God himself will come and kill them, she was pretty happy, which indicates that she has some good degree of Krishna consciousness, because no mother would like to hear that somebody's coming to kill her sons, even if they say, well, God is going to come personally and kill your kids. No mom will be happy with that. But Diti was satisfied that was the purpose. The purpose of their coming is because, Krishna arranged all this stuff. Krishna has kind of like a traveling troupe that he likes to hang out with his associates. He likes to perform pastimes. He usually doesn't mix with the contaminated people of this world or any world except for the spiritual world. So even when he wants to fight, which is the case, he brings his own people. I said this before. It's like the WWF. Like, seems like they are mortal enemies. The guys are just talking trash and beating each other up and throwing things at each other, but they are friends. They're traveling together in the same bus to town after town. So Krishna has a system kind of like that he travels with his people. And if he wants to fight with someone, he doesn't choose some Olympic wrestler from Kazakhstan. He actually brings Jai and Vijay so he can, have a good fight, and gives him a chance. They have no chance. Who has a chance? Fighting God? Good luck to you. But he gives him a chance, at least scared the demigods enough that, when Krishna fought with Hiranyaksha, fought for quite a long time. And the demigods were agitated. They were actually saying, come on, finish him off. Come on. Enough. Just give it to him. So after all this fight that they were throwing each other, for hundreds and thousands of miles and beating each other with enormous objects, then casually Lord Varaha with his hoof just slap him in the ear. Sometimes you see these in martial arts and in boxing, that they're beating each other up and they're punching each other in the face and in the stomach and so on. And in Muay Thai, they kick each other in the legs. That any ordinary being will not be able to walk even or to respond. But they're used to this kind of treatment. That's how they train. But sometimes there is a punch that you can't see, and they punch him in the ear. And that is where the seat of balance is, the equilibrium. So once you get punched in the ear, your legs wobble, you go down. So Lord Varaha kind of did that move, just slap him in the ear slightly. But slightly by the Supreme means, he can destroy universes with that little slap. So I'm sure it hurt quite a bit, and Hiranyaksha was done. And then the description is that there will be in the verse. It is said that there will be a devotee, because they were having trouble thinking, oh, there's going to be a whole generation of demons, because these boys are demons and they're going to disturb the universe. They're going to have their own children, and their children are going to have children, and it's going to be a disaster. They're going to be running the universe, and they will be horrible people. But they said, no, there will be one, the son of Hiranyakashipu in this case, that is going to be the topmost devotee of the Lord, and he will have expanded intelligence. What does it mean, expanded intelligence? Well, we sometimes see that the documentaries about child prodigies, that they can do chemistry at age 13. They can discover things that scientists have been working on for ages, or they can play chess at the age of 4 and defeat a grandmaster. But this is not the meaning of expanded intelligence. They can use certain portions of intelligence. Expanded intelligence means they understand how things work. Prahlad Maharaj could see the most difficult thing. What is the most difficult thing to see? The plan of the Lord. That is the most difficult thing to be able to ascertain, because who knows what's going to happen, how it's going to happen, who is going to be. Yeah, we may say, oh, Krishna is going to be victorious, or the devotees are going to overcome this bad momentum, but we don't really know. We just guess. We pray. We hope. But Prahlad could see, no, this is what the Lord wants. And he called them. He called them because the Lord wanted to appear. When Hiranyakashipu asked Prahlad, where is your God? Where is your God? And he said, it's everywhere. He meant it. Yeah, it's everywhere. He could see him everywhere. Well, is he in this pillar? And then the Lord actually showed up from behind the pillar. Like, yep, I'm here. So Prahlad said, yep, he's there. And then when Hiranyakashipu cut the pillar, the Lord made his appearance. He wanted to be, Krishna is a dramatic actor. He likes this kind of emotional, convoluted, very ornamented play where, there are a lot of surprises happening, and, people clap, and everything is amazing. And some people suffer, some people enjoy. I mean, those who deserve it. Those who deserve it will suffer, and those who deserve it will enjoy. So that's expanded intelligence, means he can see through the eyes of the Lord, and he can understand Krishna's plan, which is, I would say without a doubt, the most difficult thing to understand is the plan of Krishna. Krishna has his own way to act, his own thinking, and he's always rational. He always does the best for everybody, all at the same time. We can, that's actually, Krishna has the privilege of having the the best intelligence, and is the lazy intelligence, that he doesn't have to endeavor for things. Of course, one of his name is Satya Sankalpa. Whatever he thinks will happen. It's just arranged by Yoga Maya that will take place. But Krishna makes things happen by his intelligence. And we can't figure it out because our intelligence is very, very small. And particularly in Kali Yuga, where everybody has a Manda, Sumanda, Matayo, Manda, Pagyu, Pajita. This is a diminished memory, diminished intelligence. We can't figure out anything. Even devotees, even as those who practice Bhakti Yoga, that they, of course, they have an advantage over those who don't, because at least they can understand the plan when it unfolds. In other words, there is foresight and there is hindsight. And we, if we're lucky, we get hindsight. We say, oh yeah, that was Krishna's arrangement. We generally cannot see it ahead of time, but at least we can see it when it happened. Whereas those who don't practice devotional service and bhakti yoga, even after it happens, they can't see why this is unjust. Why did it happen to me? Like someone that is in a stadium, during the Super Bowl, and there's 80,000 people there, and a bird flies above and just poops on one person's head, one person out of the 80,000. And the person said, why me? I mean, you have 79,999 people to choose from. Why me? So this is, when you don't understand how Krishna acts, this is what happened. Why me? Why this happened to me? Of course, hardly anybody complains when things go their way or things go well. But when things don't go the way they think they should, like you ask any person in the street, do you think you're a good person? Yeah, they will say, yeah, of course I am a good person. They have no introspection, no sense of self. No, they don't understand what good and bad is. So when you ask them, yes. Otherwise, they will act differently. So even among devotees, we have many devotees who are not very introspective, and they think they're doing the right thing, even though they are mindless many times. They just follow some set of rules without thinking about them, benefits or not. I plead guilty to a bunch of those, for sure. I remember, and this is embarrassing, but I'm going to say it anyway. I was a brahmachari. I was a brahmachari for 17 years. And one of those times as a brahmachari, my mother came to visit. We met in New York City. And I refused to take a taxi in New York City with my mother because she was a woman and I was a brahmachari. Well, how about that? And I was just following the rules. Of course, my mother never forgot the incident. Anybody who heard about that incident never forgot. I never forgot about it. I was mindless. Mindless. I mean, I'm not talking about a supermodel in a private room. I'm talking about my mother, like a 65-year-old woman in New York City, which is 12 million people watching you, with a taxi driver in the car. And I refused to take a taxi with her. Anyway, so many times devotees make decisions based on what is written here or what they heard about it, and without thinking. That's not Krishna's plan. That's their own concoction. So Prahlad Maharaj didn't have this problem that we do. He could see how Krishna's plan is expanding. And also, and the verse says that he had expanded influence, which means famous and famous for the right reason, not famous like Hitler and Napoleon for conquering and abusing others. Famous for doing the right thing. Pure devotees. they're in a completely different category. They don't have to abide by the rules, although they usually do. Even Krishna says, I follow the rules, otherwise the world will go to ruin. That's in the Gita. So we have to follow the Mahatmas, the Mahajans, like Prahlad Maharaj, but we don't have to be like them. Following and imitating are very, very different. Following means you do what you're told to do, and imitating means you do what you see the other person do, even though it's not meant for you. Uh, the we mentioned many examples before. I'm not going to bore you with that. The verse continues saying that he will be the greatest of all greatest souls. Just his fame means that people will talk about Prahlad Maharaj until the dissolution of the universe. That's what fame means. Not that you invented the bungee cord and then people talk about you for about 10 years and then, that's it. There's a plaque somewhere, Joe McGillicuddy in Belfast, Ireland invented the bungee cord and, that's it. That's your claim to fame. No, Prahlad Maharaj claim to fame is because he was a pure devotee, the greatest of all. And he was born in a family of demons, which gives us hope because we were not born in families of saints. Usually devotees are born in regular families. And it's hard to trace how is that I am allowed to practice bhakti yoga, that I'm actually attracted to Krishna consciousness. If I was born in a family that had no connection, there may have been agnostics or atheists or fanatical Christians or devout Muslims or whatever, and all of a sudden some strange seed came out of that family, and this is a mystery. That's when you need to know, to trace your past. If I have to remember what pious activity have I done in my life that allow me to get the privilege of joining Krishna consciousness, I'll find nothing. I don't remember. I don't remember doing anything right that will allow me. Yes, I've done so many things that drove me to desperation, that maybe that was the key, that I had nowhere to turn, and somehow or other Lord Chaitanya took pity, and maybe the case for many, but we don't know. So in this case, this is a family of demons. This is Hiranyakashipu we are talking about, the main dude when it comes to demonic activities. And guess, lo and behold, Prahlad Maharaj becomes his son, which is probably that's the greatest joke one can play on someone, that you're a devout atheist and your son is a pure devotee. That will ruin your life. That will ruin your day for sure. And that's what happened to Hiranyakashipu, that he was dealing with a pure devotee, not just a devotee, not just an ordinary devotee. Like, our parents, they've seen us joining Krishna consciousness and they may have questioned our sanity for a while. And maybe they met some devotees and they were convinced, well, no, they seem, very eccentric, but they seem normal and smart and nice and kind. But in the case of Hiranyakashipu, the qualities that Prahlad Maharaj shown were the opposite of what he intended to teach his son. He wanted him to be deceiving, diplomatic, cruel, all these nice ornaments that the demons cultivate. Be like a narcissist, like Hiranyakashipu. But Prahlad was most humble. And even at the risk of his own life, when his father tried to kill him, He did not complain. He didn't say, why me? He didn't say, I'm your son. Why are you doing this? None of that. He was just meditating on his real family, which was the Supreme Lord and his devotees. And saying, well, this Lord, I'm at your disposal. Whatever you want to do with me, just please do. So he did not complain. He did not blame Hiranyakashipu. He didn't try to change the course of things. He just accepted the plan of the Lord. He could see this is the best. And if he had to live his body as a consequence of his father's actions, let it be so. It's definitely the plan of the Lord. I'm doing the best I can. So that's Prahlad Maharaj. Because his devotional service wasn't like a karma mishra bhakti mixed with personal desires and agenda, because it was pure and it was mature. His devotional service was mature. Like if we pray, we should pray for pure devotional service. In other words, we have a life outside of this body, outside of this world, outside of this very temporary situation. We have a real life, and it will be activated by pure devotional service. Until we reach the platform of pure devotion, our real life won't be activated, as it remains dormant. We remain doing external things to actually get transformed and actually see what our real life is like. So in the case of Prahlad Maharaj, he had the privilege of being mature in his devotional service. He was actually practicing pure devotional service. And therefore, that doesn't come alone. It comes with transcendental ecstasy. So Prahlad Maharaj was not suffering at any given point, because when one is in the transcendental platform, suffering is a form of ecstasy too. So there is no real pain and angst and all this stuff. It's just a variation on a theme. He was ecstatic. And at the end, he will be transferred to the spiritual world. Simple as that. Just quite a life. And meanwhile, Hiranyakashipu, he played his role to perfection. He actually did give Krishna a hard time, and Krishna was able to show up as Narasingha, which is a form that hasn't been seen before. Even the goddess of fortune had a hard time with her husband. And the only one who actually could see, oh no, this is my worshipable Lord, the love of my life. Yeah, Prahlad Maharaj. He could see this is the same Supreme Lord that I've been worshiping, and just decided to show up in this fierce form. But it's not fierce to him. Just like the tiger is not fierce to the cubs. The little to-be tigers, they just play around, and the mother, it doesn't appear threatening to them. But for other animals, to see a tiger is not a good surprise. They're frightened. So to see how Hiranyakashipu react when he sees Nishingadev, yeah, not a good time for Hiranyakashipu. He met his match. He thought he was invincible. He thought he was immortal. He thought he was not going to be able to be defeated by anyone. He asked for it, but the Lord is smarter than everybody else. So he knew the loophole. He knew what Hiranyakashipu forgot to ask. He could get around it. So if we have an agenda and we are duplicitous and we think we can get away with something that Krishna won't notice, just think of Hiranyakashipu. He was smart and he got outplayed by the Lord. So if we have anything that we are hiding and we think we're going to get away with it, well, it's time to give it up. It's time to rethink. We need to perform devotional service in a favorable way, not being forced, not that is, I don't feel like doing this, or it's not my nature. This is all temporary. Our real nature is to be serving Krishna without any motivation and any interruption. All right. Usually, classes when I do a class for Africa, this basically takes us several hours of comments, questions, and speculations and back and forth dialogue. But I'm gonna be kind on you, and you're gonna be kind on me. So I'll stop here, and if there are any comments or questions, we can probably go through them now.
Hare Krishna. Thank you so much, Prabhuji, as always. Lots of insights to ponder on. And dear devotees, if anyone may have questions, comments, reflections, you may want to ask, share, please indicate by using the hand emoji or your physical hand, and you will be asked to unmute to ask your question or share your reflections. And Nadi Niranam Prabhu, please give me unmute. Hare Krishna.
Yeah, Hare Krishna Prabhu, Dandavat Pranams.
Jai.
Yeah. So, Prabhu, I believe during the time of Hiranyasha and Hiranyakashipu, when they started their demonic act, people at that time, they might not like it. So I believe that pastime does not end there. What could happen if today a very nice devotee then later on started misbehaving? Can't we use this criteria rather than judging such a devotee? Because these Hiranyasha and Hiranyakashipu, they were very nice devotees, the Vaikuntha. But all of a sudden, they become a demon as a result of the curse. So what is the case? What could be our lesson here? Situation whereby a very nice devotee all of a sudden, started behaving abnormally. What can we draw from that? Haribo.
Thank you, Prabhu. Well, first of all, they had a choice. They had a choice. They could have chosen to take 7 lifetimes as devotees, and they didn't want to do that because it was going to take longer than taking 3 births as demons. And also because they wanted, they knew that Krishna wanted to fight, and they were, gatekeepers, bouncers, if you wish. They were the bouncers of Vaikuntha. So yeah, the bouncers like to fight, like a good fight. So they knew the mood of the Lord, and they chose, okay, we'll take this shortcut and help Krishna with his plan. Because if they took 7 births as devotees, they would not have been fight. Krishna would have to find someone else to fight with. But they actually accompany the Lord. So this is an isolated case. In the case, if it happened, as you mentioned, if it happens nowadays, that devotees are act in an improper way and they are cursed. First of all, it's Kali Yuga. Curses usually don't work, and nobody has the power to curse or counter curse. like in the case of Chitraketu Maharaj, when he was making an ironic comment, seeing Parvati sitting on Lord Shiva's lap in front of a bunch of sages, that celibate sages. He was with the most beautiful woman in the universe sitting on his lap and talking. He thought that's ironic that the most beautiful woman is sitting on Lord Shiva's lap. What, he's talking to celibate sages and no one is disturbed. And he wasn't disturbed either, but he just found it ironic. So Parvati didn't find that comment funny, so he cursed him. And Chitraketu, being a pure devotee, he could have counter-cursed and that would have taken care of it. Yeah, he could have said, oh yeah, you know what? But he didn't. He accepted it as the plan of the Lord. And somehow or other, no one is like that nowadays. I don't see that happening. That someone is going to make such a mistake that he is going to have to take birth as a demon. Or, I mean, there are people who are born as a demons, but I don't think it's a pastime anymore. It's just because they cultivate demonic qualities. So, if I understood your question correctly, I don't think this situation is stands alone. The situation of Jai and Vijay being cursed and taking birth as demons. I don't think it could happen nowadays because I don't know where I heard this, but I'm sure you heard it too, that demons and devotees used to live in different planets. Now they live inside every person. So I don't know. Yeah, like we have the little angel and the little devil, one on each shoulder, giving us good advice and bad advice. So that's actually the mind and intelligence. There's not an angel, there is not a devil. There's the mind and intelligence are giving advice. Usually the intelligence gets good advice and the mind gets bad advice. And then they fight with each other. And then we, the soul, the witness, has to decide, okay, what am I going to do? So the battle has reduced itself to inside our heads, where it used to be a universal affair and based on Krishna's plan. I don't think Krishna has plans to fight with any of us at any given time. We are just greasy little forgotten figures just dwelling in the material world until we wake up to our reality of being servants of Krishna. I don't know if that answers your question, but that's all I have.
Yes, Prabhu, it does. But was it the case that the Lord does not have a match then on the earthly planet, but then he has to come with a devotee through that means?
Well, there's no fights in Vaikuntha. There's no fights in Goloka. They wrestle, but and the threat of demons and enmity is there, but it's just to enhance the rasa. It's not real. So if you want to fight a demon, gotta come here. We have plenty. We sell them by the dozen. So Krishna chose the proper place. Like this is the place where the demons and the devotees fight. Kind of a middle planets or the higher planets even. But there's definitely in the material world. In the spiritual world, everybody gets along somehow or other. And in the material world, nobody gets along. Not even among the same families. Even friends, friends have been friends for years, and all of a sudden they have some kind of discrepancy and disagreement, and they now hate each other. That's not uncommon. Or crimes of passion, that the husband kills the wife or the wife kills the husband, or hires someone to kill him. I'll tell you an example. I was living in Denver, Colorado before coming to Gitanagari, and there was Bakhtin from Russia who lived in Denver. They used to come and come to the programs, make garlands at the temple, etc., etc. And she was married to a car mechanic from Michigan, originally from Turkey or Iran, the family, and so on. So everything was fine. And I actually, I would take my car to him, to the mechanic. Very nice guy, super nice. And they, all of a sudden, they went to Europe on a vacation, and they were driving around Europe, and apparently she left him. He said that she didn't come back. They had a fight, and she left, and so he flew back to America, and she didn't. She disappeared. Well, the police, they were in Spain at the time. They checked the cameras of the places where they stayed, the different hotels, and they saw in one of the places that this man put what appeared to be a body in the trunk of his car and then drove away. And then he drove for maybe 600 miles to the south of Spain to a house in ruins, and they don't know what happened. But because the car had a GPS in it, they were able to trace the exact place. And surely enough, they found the body of this Bakhtin buried in a house, the ruins of a house. So he was in America, and he knew that now he was wanted by the police and by the Interpol. So he actually voluntarily flew back to Spain and turned himself in, because he knew that in Spain they didn't have the death penalty, and the punishment for murder one is 25 years maximum, whereas in America you get life without parole, probably. So he's in Spain, and he got 8 years as the consequence. And I'm telling you, the nicest guy, and all of a sudden he became a murderer. So welcome to the material world. You can't tell. Just that's how crazy the mind is. He couldn't take arguing with her, so he decided to kill her. It happens. So why would Krishna want to play around here? He comes to just perform a fight and goes back home. That's it.
Well, thank you so much, Prabhuji. I have a follow-up question to Anadidenon Prabhu's question and the beautiful answer you gave. And that is, when you were speaking, you talked about following and imitating. That we follow, we do not imitate. So, Hiranyakashipu, Hiranyaksha, these are divine pastimes. And so, there are these lessons we are learning from. But in my case, and probably in the case of Anadidenon Prabhu, this is not a pastime. This is our real challenge that we're having. And so I'm wondering if you may shed some light on the difference between situations controlled by Yogamaya and situations controlled by Mahamaya. Like in the case of Hiranyakashipu, Prahlad is Yogamaya pastimes. In the case of me, in whatever I do, it's Mahamaya. So if there is such a difference, what lessons do we learn from such two different paradigms of Yogamaya and Mahamaya? Hare Krishna.
I don't think we have to worry too much about Yogamaya. We are under the influence of Mahamaya at any given time, and sometimes we have a peak and can get the head above water and breathe for a little bit. It's not Yogamaya, it's simply that's the nature of the material world, that is illusory, and therefore you think you are enjoying, or that you have this Krishna consciousness, but it lasts for a moment. Krishna consciousness doesn't last for a moment. Krishna consciousness is permanent. It's something that continues to go on. So we get some glimpses, some peaks, where actually we get the head above water and can breathe. And if you want to call it yoga maya, then maybe, but I don't think so. I think this privilege is reserved for those who reside in the spiritual world. And yoga maya is particularly active in Goloka Vrindavan, because has the task of covering their understanding of who Krishna is by Krishna's desire. So Yoga Maya does Krishna's bidding, whatever Krishna wants. And Krishna doesn't want anybody to know that he is God, because that would ruin the play. Like there is a story of the King of Holland, of the Netherlands. There was this woman, happened to be from Argentina, Maxima, her first name. And she was somewhere at the beach in Spain, Mallorca, or somewhere around there, and met this very nice gentleman. And so she was involved in some business, and she asked him, what do you do for a living? And he said, well, I manage, and I have some investments and so on. So they dated, and they like each other, and eventually he revealed he was the heir to the throne of the Netherlands. But he didn't reveal it until they had a good connection. Because that would have basically ruined the relationship. If you meet someone on a first date and say, what do you do? Well, I'm the King of Holland. Oh, whoa, that is kind of a little overwhelming. So Krishna doesn't want that type of. He wants to have a relationship permanently with everyone. He does, and he doesn't want to reveal his position, because it's not important to him either. Krishna doesn't really care about being God. God is a position. God is a job. Krishna, when Krishna goes to work, on his desk, it says Vishnu, Mahavishnu, or Karanodakshay Vishnu, Shirodakshay Vishnu, Paramatma, those are his labels at work. But when he's home, he's Krishna. He doesn't care. Just like Prabhupada gave the example of a high court judge in India that, he'll go home and his grandson was riding on him. He was on the force, crawling around. And he enjoyed that a lot better than wearing that robe and deciding people's future. You're going to jail, or you're being freed right now, or you have parole, or this or that. So Krishna is not different. He enjoys this relationship where his position is not important, not part of a relationship. The relationship is based on love. So Yoga Maya is only active really where she's needed in order to cover the consciousness of the devotees, so their relationship is not spoiled by awe and reverence and so on. So I don't know how active Yoga Maya is in Vaikuntha and the Vaikuntha planets. I think she's very active in Goloka Vrindavan, where nobody has any idea that Krishna is God. They think Krishna is wonderful, and Krishna is a lot happier with that with others saying Krishna is great. He prefers wonderful, cunning, just those are the things that attract him, that make him so, because Krishna is irresistible. He's irresistible. So awe and reverence can kind of ruin the play. Just like if you're watching a play, or go to the theater and you're watching a play, and there's a friend of yours playing a part, and you cannot see him as the role he's actually trying to play, that will ruin it for you. Oh, that's Kweku over there. I know he's trying to play a prince, but it's Kweku. We play ball together. And so that will distract you from watching the play. So Krishna doesn't want that kind of interruption. He's actually interested in the actors, everybody being absorbed in the play and not knowing that it is a play. That's the highest form of illusion, and is actually reality.
Well, thank you, Prabhuji. But I had a question from the purport. What I just asked was just a follow-up from Anadinanam Prabhu's question. But sorry. For us as devotees, we accept the scriptures as real. To others who are not yet devotees, oftentimes they think that our scriptures are just myth, because there are so many things said in our scriptures that do not seem to be possible to the average human thinking mind. Now, the question I have is, this is a prediction that Diti's grandson will become a very great devotee. He will be famous. And like you rightly said, in a positive way, not in a negative way. Now, one may be tempted to ask, if someone's life is already predestined, that is going to be a great devotee, then what to speak of others who may not be mentioned in the scriptures, but they also are predestined to be whoever they are in this life. And if that is the case, that each and every one's life is predestined, then what is the use of trying to preach? And if it is not predestined, what makes the difference between those whose lives are predestined and those whose lives are not predestined?
There may be a general blueprint for the living entities, but it's like construction. There may be a blueprint for the particular building, but they just modify it as it goes, and that's how the life of a living entity is. We are basically meant to live for so long, but you see, the devotees don't follow these rules. They try to interrupt people's lives and change the blueprint of everybody. And because we have free will, we are able to do that. So our destiny is, you may say, well, we have a certain beginning, middle, and end in our lives. But it's not unchangeable. It can be changed. It can be changed by our own volition, by our own decisions, or by the influence of others. So it's not everything is not set in cement. It's set in fresh cement, maybe. So we get devotees to interrupt people's lives and preach to people. And tell them, no, you're not the body. All those plans that you've made for yourself are completely worthless. They amount to nothing. You're never going to be happy that way. So people change their consciousness and change the plans. Prabhupada even said, if you clap your hands, the lines in your hands will change. So, maybe an astrologer or a palmist is able to see, okay, this is the life that you're projected to have, but not necessarily that you will have. There are many things that will influence your future. But if you don't act on it or nobody intervenes, it may happen that may happen exactly as is written, or as is in your hands or in your horoscope, let's say, in your chart. But devotees have kind of like a free pass. They can go behind the scenes and change things. They can modify people's lives, and that's why devotees are considered more merciful than Krishna. Krishna is demanding surrender. Lord Chaitanya didn't demand surrender. And the devotees are even looser than that. Just anything. They will do anything to make someone taste a little prasadam, read a book, go to the temple, see the deities, say Hare Krishna, all these things that they're not written in their sheet, but devotees make sure that, I want you to. It doesn't matter what happens to me. It matters what happens to you. That's why when Prahlad Maharaj showed up again in Krishna Lila, that as Vasudeva Dat, he was the topmost example of someone who didn't want to follow protocol. He wanted to take the reactions of every sinful person upon himself just to save them. And he didn't. It's not like some demagogue, some politician saying, together we're going to do it. We're going to change the course of things, and I will be the first one. And, all this lies and just to get votes. No, Vasudeva Dada meant it. Yeah, just bring the pain. Bring the pain. Just free them. I cannot live with other people's pain. Paradukkha Dukhi. That's what the devotees are like.
Yeah. Well, thank you for the answer. But talking about myth again, I am wondering how Diti, being the wife of Kashyapa, and I believe before this situation of having an affair with Diti, as it's mentioned at the wrong time, they were married couples. So I believe that they had been meeting before, and somehow Diti did not become pregnant. So the question now is, how did Diti understand that this material moment when we meet, I'm going to become pregnant? And how did the husband, Kashyapa, also understand that, okay, if we meet at this time, you're going to have conception, but the children are not going to be good ones? How do we explain this to those who are not devotees, for them to understand that this is not just a fairy tale, but it's something that really happened? Because one will be wondering, these are married couples, they've been together for so long, and there is no child. And just this time, when they know that when they meet, they can have conception, then again, it says it is an improper time. Second to the question is, so two questions in one. So the second part to the question is, how is it possible that for a Vaishnav, or say for a devotee of the Lord, time can stop or change his or her devotional activity? For example, we are told to help ourselves by waking up in the morning and do our japa in Brahma Muhurta. It's ideal, but I do not think that if one does not chant his or her japa during Brahma Muhurta and he chants any other time, it becomes negative or bad. So I'm thinking if someone is a devotee of the Lord, what is more important? Is it the time that the person engages in the devotional activity or the purity of the devotee performing the activity? So two questions in one, Prabhuji, please.
First, I want to address your second question. Gorakishore Das Babaji said that the best times to chant japa is from 4 to 7 in the morning and from 7 to 11 in the evening, because at other times is very distracting because we have engagement during the day. So these are the best times to chant.
I didn't know about the 7 to 11 p. So it's good to know.
Yeah, well, use it properly. So
Yeah.
I think it is better to chant in the morning, but if you haven't, 7 to 11 is a good time because everybody else is going to sleep or is done or is tired or et cetera, et cetera. The world kind of closes down.
Yeah.
The body world, the karmis are very enthused by the sinful hours of the night to start the activity, the nefarious activities. So this is the timing, but it's actually the consciousness is. You may find a better time. I find it that if I chant during the day, let's say from noon until 6 in the afternoon, it's kind of more difficult. It takes a little more concentration. There's more things going on. I get texts or phone calls, people, visitors, mail, this, that, the other thing. So it's better to chant in the morning. Of course, the ideal is that you chant all day, that you're actually somehow or other finding a way to chant the holy name all day at any given time. And if you have a regular job, hours, whatever, whenever there's 9 to 5 or 10 to 6, then you should find periods of time where you are not chanting, that you can actually fit in some chanting, like half an hour here, an hour there, et cetera, et cetera. As far as the first question, how do you explain to those who are non-devotees? I do not bother. I don't try to explain them the things that are difficult to understand even for us. I mean, when I hear that some Brahmas have 1,000 heads, I can't understand. I have a neck ache from having one head. How would it be to have 1,000 heads over your shoulder? And if they're all the same size, how do you feed them? What kind of body? I mean, I really don't bother with that stuff. What I bother with is when I have statements from the scriptures that they refer directly to my life or my service. That interests me more. Other things, I just let them be. Okay, so it's true. People, when let's say in the 1600s, 1700s, even 1800s, if you told them that you could make a machine that will carry 300 passengers through the air, 35,000 feet, going 600 miles an hour, and the machine itself was so heavy that even 1,000 people couldn't lift it. And they will say, you're hallucinating, brother. You know, that is crazy. They will burn you at the stake, basically, for saying something like that. So, but it happened, you know. I've flown so many times in such apparatus. And when you tell them, also a few centuries ago, you tell them that you were going to be able to put people in a bubble and they could travel in the ocean, you know, for hours without, you know, without dying for lack of air, you know, like a submarine. You know, it's like a myth. It's crazy. Or that somebody could take a picture of you inside your body and see if there is anything broken or anything is growing or anything is out of place. Yeah, all the things that are simply material things that they happen due to the development of technology, or that you will have a phone that you can carry in your hand. I mean, when I was growing up, I was at a place that they had a phone that I had to actually crank a handle to get the operator to come over. And I would talk to the operator and say, I would like to talk to such and such person somewhere. And then they will find a connection. You know, if you told the operator, by the way, I won't need you soon because I'm going to be in the other side of the world with a handheld device, and I'm going to talk to someone else. Not only talk, I'm going to be able to see them. I'm going to be able to sing a song. You know, they will say you're crazy. That will never happen. So all these things that appears to be myth is, you know, maybe even something as simple as technology, the way technology develops in this world, you know, we'll be able to solve it. What to speak of the technology that the demigods use, not even going all the way to the spiritual world. Like, if you go to, I'd never been to, but I know if you go to Universal Studios in Los Angeles, there's a ride that you can actually sit in a room with a bunch, you know, with a couple hundred people, and you swear you're flying in space. The visual effects, the sound, the movement, everything feels like you're flying in space. You swear you're flying in space, but no, you're sitting in a room with a couple hundred people in Hollywood, somewhere near, you know, near Universal City in LA. So what to speak of the demigods? They can make us believe that we are seeing certain things, but we don't. You know, there's just a power of illusion. They can control our lives to the point that we see whatever they want us to see, where other things are going on, like a matrix type of thing. We are just being force fed while we are sleeping, and we think it's just that's reality, but it's actually a dream. We are in a pod somewhere. So the power of illusion is very strong. Maya controls every single thing. So the only way out is to meditate on Krishna, because that's reality, and everything else is illusory, temporary. That's the nature of illusion, that they won't last. It has a beginning and an end. So we should meditate on the eternal things that don't have a beginning or an end. And that's Krishna consciousness. That's the whole idea of it. So yeah, I wouldn't bother preaching about Lord Brahma's 1,000 heads or Ravana's, you know, flying donkey or anything like that. Just, you know, don't bother. Just tell them you're not the body. And once they get past that point, then you can say something else.
Yeah. Or Ganesh having the mouse as his vehicle.
Yeah. Riding on a mouse.
Yeah.
I mean, does it affect your life and your devotional service? No, it doesn't. So why bother?
Yeah.
Just use the things that actually are directly linked to your life and your service.
Yeah. Dear devotees, anyone with something to ask or to share, please? And like we always suggest, if possible, you turn on your camera so it becomes more personal. But Prabhu, you're talking about things affecting our devotional service. I think the past time you shared with your mom is very, very extreme, that you would not get in a vehicle with your own mother because you're a brahmachari. And I'm not very much surprised, and it is because of the understanding you had at the time. I've said this a couple times here. When I also lost my own mother, my own biological mother, my authorities told me there was no need for me to attend a funeral. I did attend though. Govinda Prabhu is here. He accompanied me. So my question is, what becomes of us when in our honest understanding, we are following the right thing, the right instructions, which turns out to be wrong. But at the time of following, we were down to earth that this is exactly what I need to do. And that is why we're doing it. And then it turns out that is not the way it's supposed to be done. What do we actually gain from following or doing something which is improper, but to our understanding at the time was the right thing to do?
We have to, if you're doing stuff like that and nobody's correcting you, you're hanging out with the wrong crowd. You have to associate with those who have devotional stamina and common sense, not just that they can spew, instructions from the Hari Bhakti Vilas and the Manu Samhita at will, but they have no common sense at all. Prabhupada said to the devotees, if I tell you all the rules and regulations, you will faint.
Yeah.
He didn't want us to follow. He didn't want us to be smartas. And see what happened to the smartas in Krishna Lila. They didn't get the pie. No. The wives got the message. They understood. Okay, Krishna wants this. Let's give it to him. That's it. That's all we need to know. So there's a limit, and the limit is not in quantity, is in quality. We need to know what to do, when to do it, and how to do it. We don't need to get someone else's burden and know everything about everything, that at every moment, we can apply one of the rules and act. We need to use common sense. It's just funny because it's called common sense, but it's not common at all. And we can see that. It's it's terrible. It's terrible. It's just I can see that. I mean, I don't visit so many temples nowadays. I don't travel as much as I used to. But I could see, and by visiting temples, that there are people that are stuck in rules and regulations, and some strange Vedic, so-called Vedic etiquette that is so hostile to newcomers and also others, and everything has become. I mean, we have the wisdom of the elders. I was talking to Keshava Swami, Swayam Bhagavan Keshava Swami, and he said that his generation, my generation is older than his generation has the advantage that has older devotees to consult with, that they have experienced things and they can give good advice so they don't have to make the same mistakes. So that's what we should do. We should look for someone who has, even if it's younger than us, even if it's less experience, even if it's been in Krishna consciousness less time, it doesn't matter. Doesn't have to be a senior, a guru, a sannyasa. It doesn't have to be anything. Doesn't have to be a disciple of our own guru or someone else's guru. It doesn't matter. We can actually use common sense to live our lives, and we have to listen. We have to pay attention, and we will see. Okay, this doesn't make any sense to me, right? Like not taking a taxi with my mom. Yeah, doesn't make any sense. It doesn't make any sense. No, I can confess I was never sexually attracted to my mom, and certainly, that I couldn't come up with that simple solution that that I should be kind and take a taxi with her and go where we need to go and give her as much Krishna consciousness as she could take. Eventually, I calmed down, let's say, even as a brahmachari, even though seems like not logical, as a brahmachari, I made some spiritual advancement and I gather some common sense where I could actually discriminate between what to do and what not to do. And even when I would talk to my parents about Krishna consciousness as a brahmachari, I could see that they couldn't really get the message because it was coming from me, and they could only see me as their son. So I didn't have the power to convince them of anything, even if it made sense. So I brought other people to talk to them, other devotees. And when they talked, they listened. And they even though they said things that they were a lot simpler and that what I said, they will actually appreciate. And they will actually complain that how come you never told us that? I said, I don't know. I wasn't thinking straight. Of course I told them that, but they couldn't hear. So we should discriminate the audience that we face and give them what they need, they can. You cannot, if someone is thirsty and you bring them 5 gallons of water and you try to pour them all in, it's not going to get very far. So you just give them half a cup and then you refill it. So that's what we should do with Krishna consciousness. You give people what they can take. And you pay attention, because sometimes we get enamored of our own voice and then just talk and talk and talk and talk and talk and talk and talk. And they're not listening. We are just admiring our own discourse and nobody else is listening. On that note, I'll shut up.
Well, thank you so much. Very good advice. We have Srimad Bharacharya Prabhu stand up. I'm very regretful, especially in your situation with your mom. I had a similar situation. My own very, very good friend passed away. I traveled all the way to his city. They laid the body in state, but I felt I was a devotee. I was observing. What was it? It was Kartik. I was observing Kartik, and I'm not supposed to see a dead body. So I did not see my friend. Until today, as I'm speaking, I feel so bad about it. But it was due to the understanding I had at the time. It will not happen like that today. So, Shambhara Prabhu, please you me on mute. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
This is a small obeisance, SARVATMA Prabhu.
Thank you, Kshamai Prabhu.
My obeisance is all the assembled devotees. The Prabhupada.
Yeah.
Yeah, just some quick contribution to Saturday Prabhu's question about what happened when we acted wrongly based on wrong understanding, and then later on we have a better understanding and we act differently. So I think in a simple language, that is what is called experience. Good experience comes from bad judgment, and bad experience comes from bad judgment. So this is what is called experience. So then we are supposed to learn from experience, right? Like they say, experience is the best teacher. And some gurus say because a fool will not learn by other means. So we have the opportunity to learn by hearing properly. But if we don't, then we may have to learn by experience. So that's it. But there's a whole thing about experience, which I may not be able to develop here, which is very interesting. And I think maybe you probably need to know that. Maybe when there is an opportunity, I can share that. Living below experience and living experienced life and living non-experience. So 3 stages of life. In most cases, we're all living below experience. Most cases. And those who are able to live experience life are those who are very humble, who accept that they are nothing. They don't have any here about themselves, like, tonight that they're So only those people who come to the point of living experienced life. Unless you pass to that level, they call it 0 level. Unless you pass to the 0 level, you cannot live an experienced life. So we have to first know and believe that we are nothing. And then we can come up to the point of being able to live an experienced life. Anyway, that's a small contribution. Thank you very much.
Hare Krishna. Thank you for sharing that, Shivara Prabhu. Anyone else with something to ask or to share? Governor Prabhu, you have something to ask?
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Yeah.
Prabhu, my respectful obeisances to you. All glories to you. All glories to your love for Srila Prabhupada. And all glories to the assembled devotees. Yeah, Prabhu, not much to share. I've been listening very, very attentively, even though I'm driving. I will do my best to listen. See, Prabhu, what is going on in my mind? There's so many things going on in my mind as you are speaking. One of them is that Krishna has to come and exercise his fighting spirit. And as a result of that, he needed an opponent who can square him. So therefore, perfect arrangement was arranged. So my question is why, we know that in the material world, fighting or fight is not a good thing unless it is used as a sport. And even as a sport, sometimes I may be thinking, I think in my mind, why should people do this for their daily living? That, like you were saying, 2 tough boxers will be in the ring and kicking each other and hitting each other, and blood will be flowing here and there, and people will be there and enjoying this brutal kind of thing. So materially, it's not beautiful. It's not beautiful. So why should Krishna take interest in fighting? Just try to exercise his strength, or what does he? I mean, I don't know how to put it, but why should Krishna enjoy fighting?
Okay.
So therefore, he has to make this arrangement to come and fight.
I think from your question, from your question, I kind of derived that you don't have Kshatriya blood, because if you did, you would enjoy blood and fighting and all this other stuff enormously. Like when the Pandavas were in exile, Duryodhana sent spies to see if he could discover them, because if they were discovered while they were a year incognito, they will have to go for another 12-year exile. And the spy couldn't couldn't figure it out. But he found some people, but they look like Brahmins. They kind of look like Brahmins because they were dressed with very baggy clothes and wrapped up and chadars and hoods and all things like that. But their bodies were huge. That's not the sign of a Brahmin. Brahmins are not pumping iron all day or fighting or running. And he said, do you did you find them? Do you find anyone that responds to those characteristics? He said, no, really. I found some guys, and they're Brahmins. But what was curious about them is that all they talk about is fighting and weapons. That's all they talk about. So I thought that was curious that Brahmins will be actually always talking about this. Personally, I do have a very good amount of Kshatriya blood, and I enjoy blood and fighting and debates and slapping and whatever comes with all that stuff that other people may not enjoy. And Krishna, he appears sometimes as a Vaishya, sometimes as a Kshatriya. And when he's in the Kshatriya mood, he definitely enjoys slapping people and having a good fight. It's human nature. I'll give you a recent example. Yesterday, I went to Camp Hill to get an ultrasound of my thyroid. And the woman that, the young woman was in her 20s that did the ultrasound, I said, well, she walked in a very unusual way, and I said, where are you from? And she said, from New York State. And what about you? And I said, I was born in Argentina. And she said, oh, they have a good rugby team. And I said, yeah, they do. I used to play rugby myself. So basically we just, during the whole procedure, we talk about rugby. And she said, and this is a young, skinny woman. She said, well, if I didn't play rugby, I will have to do a lot of therapy. So I prefer just to tackle people instead of, paying a huge amount of money to tell someone my problems and they will tell me what to do. That's how I get out my aggression. So this is not uncommon that people like to vent their aggression because there is a buildup. It's not like everything comes and goes, goes 1 year out the other. You get frustrated, you get angry, you get all these emotions that some may call negative. But if you're a kshatriya, you think, oh no, this is food. This is good. I like this. So when you see, people react differently. When someone sees two people fighting, some people look away. Some people want to call the cops. And some other people, they just, film. They like it. Oh, I like to watch it again, when I'm by myself. So this is the nature of being in a body, whether it's material or spiritual. Sometimes you want to be affectionate and soft. Sometimes you want to cook. Sometimes you want to beat someone's head. That's just natural. It's just a natural propensity. And some people have it, some people don't. Some people they think is disgusting and terrible. So I think you say it's not beautiful. I say it is. So we just agree to disagree.
I'm surprised Govinda Prabhu was saying it's not beautiful. He himself learned mixed martial arts.
Okay. Maybe just trying to defend himself.
Maybe. Well, thank you so much for the response.
Thank you, Prabhu. Thank you.
Yeah, I love the response so much. Because I like to watch mixed martial arts myself. So I understand that I'm not doomed yet. Senator Prabhu, please, you are mute. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Jagdish. Thank you.
Hare Krishna.
Please, can you accept my personal obeisance? It's so great to
Yeah,
be able to
yeah.
proper. I'm
Hare
not going to
Krishna.
when I feel like I'm with the autist. Please, I'm in the countryside, so I don't know if my network is okay.
Yeah, it's okay.
But
We can hear you.
I have a curiosity which is going through my mind. So we have our system, we have Brahmanas, we have Grihasthas, but these sastres, where are they and how do they operate at this our current moment? How do they operate and who are they? Can we consider as a sastres in our system now? This is my question, Hare Krishna.
Can you please,
Well,
can you
yeah,
please repeat what?
Yeah, he is asking in our present day life, who can we call as a Kshatriya and how do they operate? Where are they? Because we have people like a Grihastas, we can pinpoint, okay, this person is a Grihasta, this person is a Brahmachari, this person is this. So who are the Kshatriyas and where are they and how do they operate?
Yes, thank you.
That's it. Okay, so people think that the cops are kshatriyas. The cops are shudras. The cops are not kshatriyas. They maybe some special forces, and with a high sense of morality and ethics, may be considered a kshatriya. But the cops, the army, and none of these people are kshatriyas. They have some kshatriya tendencies, but they are shudras. They don't understand. Kshatriyas are above vaishyas. They are smart. They're just actually the problem is that they're too strong. They are too strong. That's why they need to listen to the Brahmins. Because how do you control the kshatriyas? With a monarch. And what is the monarch? A kshatriya that is stronger than everybody else. So you need to keep them under control. There is literally no kshatriyas nowadays, very, very few. So if you are asking for a perfect system of justice where people are protected, you can see that it's not working. It's not working. It's simply totalitarianism or dictatorships, and the strong submit the weak, and the loud make everybody else quiet. This is not kshatriya. Kshatriya is literally rajarsi. A real kshatriya is a rajarsi. It's a saintly king, someone who has very good advice and is very strong, even though they have material desires. They want fame, they want adoration, they want prestige, they want riches, they want beauty, they want opulence, they want possessions. They may want all this, but they obey common sense. They obey the Brahmins, and they eventually know that the goal is to become detached from all that, to become saintly. They can see that's the ideal. They may not be able to get there. It's just like us, we consider ourselves devotees, even though Lord Chaitanya himself didn't consider himself a devotee. We are so petulant and impudent that we consider ourselves devotees. And we can see that they are real devotees, that they are way more advanced than we would ever dream of being. So we know what the ideal is, but we have a hard time approaching that ideal. But we don't give up. We continue trying. So if someone has the nature of a kshatriya, he can become an expert in martial arts or in weaponry and administration and justice. They can actually specialize to become a judge or to become a master in any of the disciplines of martial arts, and has to apply it, not just be theoretical about it. Just like someone who is very studious but never teaches what they learn. or they never arrive to any conclusions. It's not a Brahman. You know, I had a devotee years ago would tell me, yeah, the Brahmins, the students, the university students are the Brahmins in Kali Yuga. I said, no, not at all. They're less than Sudras. They're just degraded people that they're going to university because they are afraid they're not going to make a living and they're not going to get access to the level of sense gratification that they want. They're not Brahmins at all. Even the professors are not Brahmins. They just do it because they're just, that's where they found their niche. Many of them don't love what they do. They can't wait to retire. So it's very difficult. We are all mixed. Prahlad Maharaj said that we are all mixed classes in Kali Yuga. Mixed, meaning there is no pure anything. It's all mixed up. So it's very difficult to deal with us because we don't know what we want. We don't know who we are. So the best thing is to give up the conceptions of who we are or want to be and try to become a humble servant of Krishna. And servant of a servant of Krishna, not even Krishna. Servant of a servant of a servant. Gopi Bhartu Pada Kamala or Das Das Anudas. Let's not waste time trying to serve Krishna or serve Krishna's servants. Let's find someone who's a servant of a servant of a servant and serve that person. And then we will make advancement. That's how Krishna wants it. Yeah. The gopis don't think highly. The gopis don't think highly of themselves. So why should we?
Yes, thank you so much. Because most of the time I confuse myself the success like a military, but I've never seen anyone who is a military, so I was just curious, and so thank you for the answer, Hare Krishna.
Yeah, just that in the military, they're like in any other profession, that they get there because they think, oh, I want to shoot somebody, or because they have good benefits and I'm going to be able to maintain my family properly, or it's not because of a sense of justice that is moving them. They want to do good to everybody, regardless of their situation and regardless of the danger. Kshatriya doesn't hesitate to put his life in peril for the sake of others. You won't find that very often.
Well, thank you. Prabhuji, I see in the chat room, Sati Devi shared, says she knows of a devotee named Hanuman who is a bodyguard for gurus and teaches martial arts in the villages in India.
Well, I heard about him. Yeah, I know some devotees who practice martial arts. Yeah. But again, this takes more than just knowing how to kick someone in the face. You have to actually put yourself in, basically not accept injustice to others. You may tolerate it for yourself, but not accept it for others. When you see injustice, you act, regardless of the consequences. A kshatriya will do that. Whereas, anybody in the car, in the police department, they just follow a bunch of rules, and they won't put themselves at risk at any given time. It will be very rare. There may be cases, but there's rare.
Well, Prabhuji, thank you so much. The world is quite a lot of evil. The sad story you shared with us a short while ago about this wonderful, nice guy with his wife, said Bhaktin, or what the name? He murdered her. We see lots of these events take place, and it's so disheartening how someone may be the nicest person, and the next moment, the mind gets twitched and he or she could do the unthinkable. So we pray that Krishna controls our mind and intelligence, so we don't act crazy. But it's very dangerous when you think about some of these things. The very nice person, the next moment is turned evil. Well,
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Govinda Prabhu. Yes.
Prabhu, can I please ask my last question?
Certainly. Please don't ask me if your wife burns the rice, if it's okay to beat her up. I won't answer that question.
I don't think so. Govinda Prabhu should be quiet.
sometimes you like the burnt rice. It has a special taste. Yes, Prabhu. My question is that is devotees, whatever we do it, or we are supposed to do it in the mood of pleasing Krishna through our gurus. And so that is the center point of our services, our endeavor in trying to serve the Lord. But this same Krishna that we try to love, that we try to serve, has said that we cannot love him, we cannot serve him, we cannot become his devotees unless we become devotees of his devotees. And so we more often pay attention in trying to please the Lord, but some of us pay less attention in pleasing the devotees of the Lord. And the Lord himself said that we cannot please him. And if you want to please him, then we have to please his devotees. But more often we see that we don't really pay attention in serving Krishna devotees. Sometimes we think everyone, on his own, just do your best, good luck. You join the ashram, being a brahmachari, you don't care how you eat. I don't care whether you are sick or not. When you are healthy, your services are required. When you are sick, you're on your own. You don't pay attention to our surroundings in terms of the people that we are working with. But we are trying to say that we love Krishna. And so my question is, what do you think about a person who said he has developed love for Krishna, or a devotee who is not trying to please devotees, but his whole effort is to please Krishna, but for Krishna devotees, he doesn't care? What do you think about this situation, about the goal of such a devotee?
You basically just define a Kanishta Adhikari. The Kanishta Adhikari is very eager to please the Lord, it's very eager to see the Lord, is very eager to serve the Lord. Just when he sees Krishna on the altar, he's ecstatic, or she, and is always thinking how to take care of the deities, but doesn't see the devotees. The devotees are absent from his or her life. That's a Kanishta. That person doesn't make much advancement. That person is in the lowest rank of a ladder of devotional service. It's until you see what Krishna sees, that every devotee is dear to Krishna, that you start not start making real advancement. So he basically defined it as a Kanishta Adhikari, someone who is, maybe in his mind or her mind is making advancement by leaps and bounds, but it's not, because it's missing the picture. Krishna is always meditating on his devotees, and the devotees are always meditating on Krishna and his devotees. Prabhupada didn't even like a picture of Krishna without having the cows or the gopas or the gopis. Just Krishna's never by himself. He's always thinking of the devotees. So why shouldn't we act the same way? So, it's a pretty simple question, a pretty simple answer. That you're just defining someone as a Kanishta. They can just toot their horn all day long. I'm such a great devotee. Look at me. Look at the service I do. Look at what Krishna allows me to dress him personally. Yeah, but it's like, what about the rest? You're missing the whole picture. Is that okay, Govinda Prabhu?
Yes, Prabhu, it's okay. Thank you very much.
Sure.
Thank you.
Hare
I
Krishna.
don't want to go on, but my next question would be that how can we develop this understanding that devotional service means to please the devotees of the Lord, and that the Krishna will be pleased? How do we develop this understanding? I know it's all circle around one thing: love. Because if I have love for myself, then I can have love for my surroundings, the people around me. So how do I develop
you-
this understanding? Yeah,
you're
that
not
serving
alone.
devotees. Yes.
Well, you're not alone. You should have to see the example of those who are actually expert are serving the devotees. Those who are actually always concerned about others. They're not trying to sell themselves. They're actually engaged in serving, in helping the mission. And
Mm.
those are the people I need to associate with. And the other ones, just pay your respects, but keep a distance, because you're not gonna. The benefit is too little compared to the risks. Because eventually, when someone is a kanista, because he's so entrenched in the service of Krishna alone, he's going to see problems with everybody else. He's going to become very critical of everybody else, because I am the only one who is actually doing service. Look at everybody else. I don't know what they're doing, but I'm dressing Krishna. I'm cooking for Krishna. I'm cleaning the altar, but I don't see anybody else. Everybody else is engaged in whatever other little service. So it's dangerous, because they will start criticizing others, and you will be hearing this, and this will affect your consciousness. So avoid the kanistas. At least find some madhyamas that they are concerned about preaching and the mission. And there are some very advanced devotees who it's difficult to associate with very advanced devotees, because they don't want service. That's how you know that they're advanced. They want to serve. They don't want to be served. So if you can find some of those are very rare, and you need to tag, just grab their feet and ask for mercy, and then Krishna will give you the mercy there.
All right. Thank you very much, Prabhu.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hare Krishna.
Prabhuji, Sarvatma Prabhu, I beg you, I know it's quite a long time we've been here, but we have Madalila Kishori's hand up. If you may take her question.
Oh yes, I know. I will hear about it for the rest of my lilife if I don't take her question. So go ahead.
Okay. All right.
Hare
Madalila
Krishna,
Kishori, Hare
Prabhu.
Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Oh,
Hare Krishna.
obeisances, Prabhu. Thank you so. It was so delightful to be in a class taught by you again. I've been asking for you to come teach another class. It was just wonderful to be here. And I love the analogies. I love the WWE analogy with Krishna with the wrestling and so forth. But I have a question related to the first question that was asked. And this is something that I'm truly confused about in ISKCON. That if there is a devotee who has, so to speak, gone off the rails in some way, who is harming others, who is not acting in the way that a Vaishnav should act, is it okay? Like, aren't we supposed to in some way bring this to their attention and expect some accountability, not blaming, but that it seems to me that it almost makes you complicit in what's going on if you don't, in a loving way, come and say, I don't know if you're aware of this or not, but you're harming others, or, whatever it is. Even what you just spoke about Kanishta Adhikari, and that someone might be thinking, oh, I'm the one dressing Krishna. Isn't it loving to say it's wonderful the job you're doing? And isn't it great that you're dressing the Lord so that the devotees have the honor and the pleasure of seeing Krishna and Radha so beautifully dressed and can come to morning program and participate and see the Lord because he has condescended to come into this deity for all the devotees? Like, do we just let people go on in things that are harmful and not expect don't we have a responsibility and accountability to bring it to their attention in some way?
We do, but not everybody has the temperament to be able to enforce it or even try. And of the people that you are trying to encourage and help to make them more, to give them some amplitude so they can see the larger picture, they don't have a years to hear. Sometimes, and Prabhupada gives this example, and I don't want to use it as a full analogy, but to give milk to a serpent, you only increase the venom. So some of the people that you're trying to correct and improve, they may take offense. They may feel offended because, how dare you? Who are you to judge my actions? I've been in the movement for 17 more days than you have, and therefore I know better than you because I'm senior to you by 17 days. So, when you find all sorts, and I am one to speak, right? I'm the kid in The Emperor Has No Clothes. I have no filters. I'm very vocal, and I will tell anybody, even those who are right, that they are wrong. So it's not that I have any problems with that. And I will encourage everybody to tell the truth and create strong boundaries, but at the same time to remain a little flexible, to know that you may not obtain the result that you were looking for. But yes, the truth should be spoken in a palatable way. But if that is not possible, the truth should be spoken anyway. I'm a total believer in that. So unfortunately, usually I skip the palatable way part and go straight for the throat. But I think people should be given a chance to correct themselves. But many times they have such nature, such ego, that they don't want to be corrected. They think they're right and they think you're wrong, even if you're telling something that is obvious to the world. And we have, great examples nowadays in the political realm where people are so narcissistic that they can't accept any criticism, and everybody gets punished by offering even constructive criticism. We should just, and when you come to us, we should be also prone to accept criticism from others, even those others are not, let's say, qualified, or they don't come up to the standard. They can give good advice. It's not necessarily that everybody has to be a pure devotee in order to criticize others who aren't. There may be someone who is just beginning or not even a devotee and gives us a good piece of advice that may change our lives for the better. But we have, I've seen people occupy positions in the movement, in ISKCON, who are unqualified. But why are they there? Because they were the only ones ambitious enough to take the risk, because they wanted some type of reciprocation, which was the wrong thing, like prestige and adoration and money and position and whatever it is. And now we are stuck with them. And what do you do? What do you do? They wanted to be tyrants, and they were given the opportunity because nobody else wanted to step up to the plate. And now we are stuck with them until Krishna says otherwise. But nothing goes unpunished, nothing goes unsolved. Krishna takes care of things, but his timeline is very different from ours. He does it in his own time, and we are very impatient. We want things solved today or yesterday, if possible. So I very much encourage you to tell people what you think. You've been doing it for a long time. I'm sure you're not going to change about that. So, and if it works, it works. And if it doesn't, it doesn't. But at least you got it out of your chest. You know, it's like that ultrasound girl, you know, she thought, oh, it's better to beat people up and tackle them than having to go to therapy for a bunch of years. Yes, I agree. So get it out of your chest, tell people what you think, but don't be attached to the result. That is up to Krishna, and it's up to them. And don't be surprised if the result that you get is a lot less than what you were aiming for. You know, just don't be discouraged. You did what you could.
Thank you.
Yeah, certainly. Thank you.
And you
Hare
know that you
Krishna.
are a Kshatriya in the community of Gita Nagari. You know you
Well,
are. You know the time we were there, Mary Davy and I, and they were setting off firecrackers on another farm, and it sounded like gunshots. And we were terrified. And then you weren't there at the time, but you came back. And when you came back, you and Divyananda came back, and we saw your car. We immediately were like, we're safe. Sarvatma Prabhu is back on the property. We don't have to worry about whatever is going on. So you are definitely in that community. You, sir, are a Satriya. Hare Krishna.
I hope I
Hare
can
Krishna.
serve in a little way.
Well, dear devotees, Mother Lila Kishore, could you please come back in the camera? Dear devotees, this blessed devotee, Vaishnavi, who just spoke, some of you may not know her in person, but she is the beloved blood sister of His Holiness Devamrita Swami Maharaj. And Hare Krishna. And interestingly enough, she is also a disciple of her own beloved. So there are lots of amazing examples in this blessed organization Srila Prabhupada has created for us. And these are some of the examples we can all try to imbibe. And when you get closer to her mother, I'm sorry, I've given you a little bit of embarrassment. But if you get closer to her, her energy alone will make you fall in love with devotional service. So we are very much blessed that we can have experience of this miracle happening right before our eyes here. And she is talking about SARVATMA Prabhu, who will make sure that he does whatever he possibly can to make sure that the devotees are okay. So these are some of the things we all should try to imbibe. Like Govinda Prabhu was saying, trying to see how we can serve the devotees, not just serving Krishna. So we thank you all so much. SARVATMA Prabhu, if you may want to give a concluding remark, and then we may bring this katha to a close today. Hare Krishna, thank you so much as always.
I'm just very grateful that I'm given a forum where I can express my sometimes right, sometimes wrong, sometimes controversial opinions, and without being shunned. And nothing. I only have appreciation, and if this is a way I can serve the community of devotees, please let me be an instrument.
Hare Krishna, thank you. All sorts of things in the scriptures, and this is not exception. So, dear devotees, we're going to humbly request you all to kindly unmute yourselves, and we all with one love, one heart, chant the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra to express our deepest appreciation to our beloved speaker, His Grace, Sarvatma Prabhu, for sharing his love and wisdom with us all today. As always, please, you may unmute. Jai. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama,
Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Vacha Kalpa Tarivascha Kripa Nanta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda Ki Jai. Glories to His Grace Sarvatma Prabhu Ki Jai. All glories to His Holiness Devamrita Swami Maharaj Ki Jai. All glories to Jagat Guru Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Hare.
Hare.